Welcome to the Midwest Moguls Show, where we talk all things business, real estate, and entrepreneurship. Let's dive into today's episode and make business enjoyable again. Welcome back to the Midwest Moguls Show. We have Cam Flowers in the studio with us today, and we are going to be talking about all things real estate, all things wholesaling, ultimately how to get a start in real estate investing, wholesaling, so on and so forth. Cam's going to fill us in on who he is, what he does, how he's had so much damn success in this business, and how he's an amazing real estate investor. So Cam, without further ado, take it away. Tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, not a problem.
So my name is Cam Flowers. I'm out of the Grafton, Wisconsin area. So I primarily wholesale and flip in the Milwaukee market. Anywhere from Milwaukee to like Sheboygan area. So I've been doing this full time, almost 2 years, or like a year and a half.
Damn.
Full time. So it's
that's crazy.
It is a little bit.
It seems, God, that goes, like time goes quick.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you think about that, I'm like, shit. But you were, before getting into the business, what were you doing? Like you were kind of doing both, if I remember correctly. You were working a job and then doing this simultaneous for like a decent amount of time,
I think
wasn't
2
it?
or 3 years.
That's what I thought. I'm like, it had to have been.
I think I got my real estate license 5 years ago, I think, or 2021 maybe.
Oh,
and that's when I first kind of got into it.
Yeah.
I started the whole just listened to podcasts, reading books about real estate. And obviously I had no background in real estate. Like I didn't have any family members who owned rental properties or did any flips.
So what got you into it?
I think I wanted to make money. That's originally when I was in college. I wanted to make money, but in college I was playing basketball and my goal was to play overseas. Like that was my my whole life. I don't think I told you this.
No, I didn't know that.
When I was like 12 years old, like that's when I realized I wanted to play basketball, like professionally somewhat. I knew I wasn't going to make the NBA, but I thought maybe overseas.
Yeah, that's cool.
So I spent pretty much my whole high school, like middle school, and even college just dedicated towards basketball. Like I would wake up before school at 4:30, go to the gym, get my shots up, do a skill workout. I'd work out after school. Like, so I didn't really do much in high school other than just play basketball. Like that was my end all be all. Like I didn't do well in school. I just did enough to get by so I could play.
Correct.
Right.
So once I got to college, I started to realize like after a couple of years, I'm like, this is kind of getting older. I've been doing this like 10 years, working out every day. So after college, I'm like, and I've always been a person, I needed something to work towards. I needed a goal. I needed something to strive for every day. So I think after college, I got a job, started working. I worked 2 jobs after college. One was I was an admin assistant for like a sales company. They were like a middleman for selling CNC machines. Didn't like that. I liked the company, but just wasn't what I wanted to do.
Correct.
And then I worked for my mom for a cleaning company. So I was a regional manager, and that was eye-opening too. I didn't like that because it was a lot of housekeeping, training. Obviously, when you're training housekeepers and managing them, it's $15, $18 an hour. Like that's a high turnover job.
Right.
So it's constant retraining, restructuring.
So how were you able to, like, when you were in the different positions and you're starting to dip your foot in real estate, were you, like, did you have the free time in order to like pick up calls, or were you making calls after hours, or like what was that transition like from working a normal job probably during normal hours is what I assume, to then like, hey, I want to start learning about wholesaling, about flipping, about rental property investing. Like what was that like? Like how do you even balance that?
Yeah, so during work, I remember I'd have like a 30-minute, I think, lunch break. So I would either make calls or listen to a podcast during that time. And I was also started sending mail. I don't know who I was listening to, but like they said, the mail was the first thing you need to do. So I just decided, all right, I'm going to do that. I'll do it consistently.
Correct.
So I would do that, and then usually I wouldn't be able to answer the calls, or when I was working with my mom, like I would answer her phone. I would just leave and walk outside for a little bit. So I did what I had to do. But then after work, I would pull lists, send more mail, or follow back up with leads. I didn't have too many leads to call.
Correct.
So I had 4 or 5 maybe to call after work. So I would do that, and I probably did that for 2 or 3 years before I gained any traction. Like I think I told you this numerous times. I think I started with my dad. Obviously,
Correct.
I think we put 25 grand into marketing, into the business, like courses, learning before we even got our first deal. And I think it took us like a year and a half.
And no one.
That's a crazy part, because I was gonna say, how long did it take to go from actually like actively searching for properties to actually getting your first deal, and that kind of
a year and a half.
And that's
Isn't
the
that
thing.
nuts?
It doesn't always happen, within a week or two. Like it actually does take a lot of consistency. That's something that I'm sure you've figured out is is that's a huge thing with the marketing that we do, especially with mailers. You have to be consistent. Even though you're not getting calls, I mean, our past campaign, we haven't gotten a single like lead from.
It's probably
from
not the
one.
ideal time to be sending mail either.
Yeah,
during
exactly.
Yeah, no, my mail rates.
Yeah, so probably getting mixed up with all the ads and everything like that. But you know, it's not seeing that isn't like, oh, well, we gotta completely stop sending out mail. It's like, no, stay consistent. Keep sending it out. And I'm sure that's probably what you've figured out is, you know, it's that consistency that actually builds up that momentum for you to actually find that next deal and the next one and the next one. So curious, what was like do you remember what type of podcast you were watching? Was it?
I think it was Bigger Pockets.
Was it bigger? Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like
that's like the stepping stone for everyone.
It's a great one to start.
Oh, it is. It's huge. And that's like, I remember listening to Bigger Pockets when I was getting started. And then you hear all these success stories and you're like, holy shit. Like, obviously it's possible.
Right.
But it's just executing on the actual decisions and everything like that. And I think the execution is what so many people underestimate because it can take 6 months. It can take 9 months. Like, you just look at and you hear the stories of really, really successful real estate investors, whether it's in fix and flip, wholesale, multifamily, whatever the case is. Like, it took us, oh my God. Like, we did our first flip house that we bought on market in 2015. After that, we didn't do another deal till 2018. We were doing bandit signs, and then we got 2 deals simultaneously. But it's like, we probably put up 1,000 different bandit signs, finally got 2 deals off the same week, in the same week. I'm like, holy shit, like, this is what we needed. And they were both very, very mediocre, but you don't know what you don't know. And then you're nervous. And then, I don't know, you just have to take that leap of faith.
And how long did you put the bandit size until you got your deal?
Oh,
was it like 6 months of just putting out signs?
Like 12 months, probably. And then you get calls from the local authorities because they're illegal. Like, it's essentially littering. And then I remember in Appleton, I was doing this during the winter, but I would go in and staple them to the telephone poles.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, hey, this is perfect. Like, it's we buy houses cash. Then they call. It's like, hey, this is Outagamie County Sheriff or City of Appleton Sheriff. Like, yeah, this is illegal. You're gonna get fined $250 per sign that's up. And I'm like,
jeez.
Yeah. So and that's where, like, no one sees that and, like, getting started and going through all the bullshit that's involved. They see it's like, oh, hey, we're doing 5 deals a month, 10 deals a month, 12 deals a month, whatever. But it's the process of building it up when you don't know anything. And for me to, like, speak to someone and say, okay, this is what you need to do. Like, to execute on that is extremely difficult. Like, it's not even, like, I'm still close enough, or it hasn't been that long that I don't realize how difficult it is to actually do a deal. Like, it's not easy. The concept is simple, but the actual action needed in order to do that can be overwhelming. It can be extremely complicated.
Yeah, the first deal's the hardest for sure.
Oh, it's way
it's
freaking hard.
Like, imagine if you stopped at month 11.
I know.
Of the bandit signs.
I know.
Yep.
You wouldn't be here.
Yeah, exactly. It's like those one things. Then, like, from there, then we started doing some direct mail. We were always hit and miss on that.
Yeah.
You just have no success when you don't have the consistency. When you're not doing it every single week, every single month, you're not going to get anywhere with it, because you might have a fluke scenario, which we had a fluke one on the mailers that we sent out. But I'm like, I don't know. You just don't get the consistency that we have now in our business, but we've been doing it month after month after month for years. So I guess what was the catalyst? So you were going through, you were working the job simultaneous. What was your first deal like? Like, what was that process like for getting it under contract, walking it, talking to the homeowner? Do you still remember kind of the key details on that, or not necessarily?
Briefly.
Okay.
It's been a while,
Well, I know. Explain to us, like, the brief overview of, okay, how'd you come across that lead? Like, what was the lead source? And how were you able to basically get the deal done?
Yeah, so I think the lead source is direct mail.
Okay.
And I think actually what I remember actually pretty vividly is he told me, like, this mailer was like from a year and a half ago.
Shit.
So it was like in the beginning when I first started. So I think I just mailed him the one time. It is whatever sad.
Of course.
He saved it on his desk or whatever he did for a year and a half. So that was the one thing I do remember. But when I did walk it, I remember it was just a regular conversation. Like, I think he knew I was new, and I didn't hide it. Like, I was transparent.
I was going to say, how nervous were you going through it? Was it just you and him, or?
No, it was my dad was there as well. So I think they did carry the brunt of the conversation.
Oh, yeah.
So I just kind of walked through it. And I remember, it was in West Bend. I was living in West Bend at the time. Not from West Bend. So that's kind of cool. do my first deal.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I look back at it, I just drove by it the other day. I'm like, that was a good deal.
It's so we were talking yesterday, like we had contract place because did you go to Carroll College in Waukesha, or where'd you go to? Concordia. What's in Waukesha? What is that, Carroll College in Waukesha?
Yeah.
Okay. So we bought a 4-unit there years ago. And we were just talking about this yesterday in the office. My dad, Joe, and I, we bought it for like 72 or 74,000, 4-unit apartment. We sold it for like 109,000. I'm like, what the fuck, Carter? Like it's like a $400,000 property. I'm like,
at least.
Yeah. You don't even know. And it was 2 blocks away from the college. I'm like, okay, don't know what you don't know. Like you're so naive to everything. And people sense that. But I think it also builds a little bit of a trust factor because they're like, hey, this guy's not going to take care of this. But like now, even to that point, it's like, okay, you want to be interested in what's going on in the people's lives and just be sincere with them. Because otherwise it's like, okay, I'm the investor that knows everything. I'm going to be a prick to all the owners. They just don't like you or trust you, or you're not a likable person. And there's plenty of those guys out there. Yeah. Like they're still right now. Like I saw some on appointment not too long ago, but nonetheless.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of slime balls. I mean, I remember actually that first appointment, he said, like, I do have higher offers of like 10 grand more than you, but I didn't like them. He's like, yeah, they're pricks and like they look like whatever country club kind of guys.
Exactly. It's like, and that's just the annoying part because it's like, oh, like your property. What bothers me so much is when someone comes by a house and they're meeting with a homeowner who's in a not so great situation, for lack of a better term, and then they just beat the homeowner up on the condition of the place. It's like, obviously they have the realization. They're calling you or reaching out, or they said, hey, come on over, give me an as-is offer. They know their house is shitty. Like you don't need to reiterate that because it doesn't make anyone feel nice. It is their house or it's a rental property. It's their property. And I think the more you do that, the less rapport you build with the homeowner, and you tarnish the relationship to an extent that it realistically you might not be able to come back from, or they're just going to sell it to you because they feel some sort of obligation.
Almost bullied in
a
way.
Correct. Yeah,
because I mean,
very much.
I'm guessing you can probably relate to this, but almost every time I go to Racy on a walkthrough, homeowners are saying, apologize for all the mess. Like I know the house is in terrible like condition and this and that, and like I just let them know, which pretty much every single time is true. It's like, trust me, I've seen way worse. Like I've seen hoarder houses. I've seen, mold and water damage and you name it. Like it's incredible that just I guess you put the homeowner at ease when you just relate to them. Like it's all right. Like I understand you have a lot of stuff going on. I'm not judging you off of the clutter or anything like that. I'm here specifically just to try and help find a solution for your situation. Plus I'm just looking at the structure of the property. I'm looking at the walls. I'm not looking at, all the stuff that's laying all around. Like, and that's something that I think helps with just kind of dropping that wall when you're talking with those homeowners during those walkthroughs, and just instead of, like you said, basically going at them and saying like, oh, this is in terrible shape. This is definitely got to go. It's like they obviously see it. They know that. They know. It's just they're not in the financial situation to be able to either afford to fix it, or they just don't have the
mental capacity to do it.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
And I would say 95% of them are embarrassed.
Oh, they're definitely embarrassed. Yeah, they're definitely embarrassed.
It's I think hard to get walkthroughs sometimes because they're so embarrassed to have even.
But think of that fact, like what in your life, like I think back to certain things and certain memories that not even real estate related, but to avoid feeling embarrassed, like what extent will you go to? Just put it off or not do certain things or not contact certain people or whatever the case is. That's generally what the majority of the population does. Now, someone in a little bit more precarious financial situation or whatever, they don't want to have that feeling in their life. And to get over that threshold, you either need to build a really solid relationship with them or provide them enough value in order to have them invite you out to look at the place. So,
and it's a big stepping stone just for the homeowner to reach out to you.
Oh, it's huge.
So that right there, they obviously showed the initiative. They want to make a change here. And that's what I enjoy, is being able to provide that change for them and get them on the right track.
I know. It's so cool. But how much did you make on that first deal?
A whopping $7,000.
$7,000.
So I was still in the red.
Hey, that's
Still in the red.
Nice.
that's a positive.
Yeah.
That is definitely a positive. I know we made 1,000 on our first one, so
Nice.
you were way ahead. But okay, so you made $7,000 on the first one, and then like after that, was it immediate success right after that, or what was?
No, I think it was still a grind. I think it took me another like 4 or 5 months to get the next deal. I think the next deal was the flip we did in
West Dallas. Okay,
yep.
That's what I was wondering if that was the next one. And so and Joe and I were talking about this prior to the podcast, but if you were starting all over today, like knowing what you know now, you have all the knowledge, resources, everything like that, maybe you have some or enough money, like how would you ramp up a wholesaling business now versus what you did back then? Would it be the same tactics? Would it be new strategies? What would you do different?
I think I would do the same thing, to be honest.
Which is
just what I worked a job.
Yep.
I took 90% of what I made and put it into marketing or learning and just continue to grind. I would have reached out to you earlier.
Yeah.
That's one thing I would have done differently because
genius. I'm a genius.
Backstory. So I was doing it for probably a year of just trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And then I was obviously watching your YouTube videos. And I think at the year mark, I decided, I'm like, you know what? I need to reach out to someone because I'm not figuring it out. I'm like, I've been doing this for a year, spent probably $20,000 on marketing, didn't get close to a deal.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I should reach out to someone who's doing it and is doing it in my market. So I reached out to you and I just asked, I'm like, hey, like all the deals I have coming up, would you want to just partner up on them?
Yeah.
Partner up on them. If I lock them up, as long as you just help me with the deal, help me analyze the deal, like tell me what it would need in rehab, tell me what to offer.
Yep.
So I think that's what, I don't know if that's what you remember, but I think that's what I
like roughly. Yeah. Cause that's where I'm like, and it's like, I just think back and like the reason that I help people on my side, cause I think back to when we started and like the first few deals, like I gave examples even on this podcast. I'm like, if I would have had someone looking over my shoulder and be like, hey, this is not the best strategy to do. Like lock it up at the price that you're thinking, because that was a good price. But let's get these tenants out or whatever the case is, relist this place for a lot higher amount of money after the clean out's done. You're going to make 4 times the amount of money that you thought you could. And it's like just that, the expertise, the knowledge, the know-how, that's invaluable. And even if you're giving up whatever, 10%, 50%, 70% of the deal, like you're gaining so much knowledge in the process and you have proof of concept, which I think so many people underestimate that. But would you do direct mail starting out? Would you do cold calling, texting? Like what's kind of the honey hole?
If I were to start off, I'd probably do cold calling.
Okay.
Just more reps, more leads, just on the phone more, getting more just comfortable just having conversations. Obviously, direct mail is still my favorite. Like I've had the best return on direct mail. And as far as just how much time I put into it versus how much I'm getting. Yeah, it's awesome.
It's so sick.
And I still get calls like,
I know.
Whatever, they got my piece of mail 2 years ago, and now they called me and they're ready to sell. And I would sign the contract the next day. So I love direct mail, but as far as just, and I still do some cold calling. I don't do it myself. I hire an agency to do it. But as far as just getting more reps in and just talking to more leads, and if you have salespeople or if you're just doing it by yourself, it keeps you busy and makes you feel like you're accomplishing something. So
and I fucking hate cold calling. Like and that's where like we I've done
we grind
a lot of it. Yeah. You have to grind it. Like when you don't know and you're trying to gain reps, experience, everything like that. It's there's only one way to learn, and that's by doing it and experiencing it. And people might disagree with that, which teach their own. But I think cold calling, it allows you to cut your teeth. It allows you to talk to homeowners and basically get on the level of the ability to have a conversation. Because like, how old are you right now?
25.
Okay, so you're 25. Joe's 27.
Yep.
And I'm 28. 28. 28. I think I'm 28.
Yeah, 28.
Old fuck.
Yeah, I know. I'm getting old. But with that, it's like when like my interpersonal skills, communication skills, when I was just getting into the business were so terrible. Like the ability to have a conversation or keep on a conversation versus now I'm like, oh, fuck, it's night and day. Yeah. Like I could go up and talk to anyone if I wanted to. Now there's certain situations that I'm like, 9 times out of 10, I just don't want to have a conversation. But with homeowners, like you can get on a topic, you can be curious, you can be wondering, you can be interested in what they're doing. And I think that helps. And cold calling by far was the biggest catalyst.
It gets you the quickest.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah. And if you think about it, if you're spending a bunch of money on mail, like that one lead, it could be a solid lead. But if you mess up that first conversation, you're not going to get an appointment. And I remember, I actually just looked back the other day, just all the appointments, all the leads I looked like 2 years ago. I'm like, holy cow, that was like 6 or 7 deals that were gone. So, I mean, I think with cold calling, it allows you to make a bunch of mistakes and not pay the price for it as much as if you're doing a more expensive channel like mail or PPC or whatever it is.
And it's probably the cheapest way to get
leads.
started with just the marketing process, the talking with homeowners. I mean, you can pretty much get everything for free. If you just go to the county, you pull a couple lists and then skip trace, all the homeowners and actually start dialing. I mean, that's starting out with Carter, like that's what he told me. He's like, all right, you gotta go through first like 3 hours of the day, cold call. And I remember every time coming in, I'm like, son of a bitch, I gotta do this. It was like pulling teeth in a way. But the more and more you do it, the more comfortable you get with it. But yeah, I haven't done that in a while, but I definitely will. I still have like that confidence of, okay, I drive past a house, look up the homeowner, I'm calling right away and be like, hey, what's up? Like, you interested in selling? And kind of go through a little scripting and everything like that.
I know.
But yeah, I guess with your first deal, what was like, I guess a mistake a couple mistakes that maybe you would change, or I guess you just learned from going through that first process of flipping the house and everything like that? And what was something that you kind of took from it as like, wow, I actually learned quite a bit from doing this. It actually turned out way better versus if I did something else.
Yeah, as far as the first deal, I think the most important thing I took out of it is just proof of concept. Like I realized this is real. Like that $7,000 check, that's the most excited I've ever been about a check versus what I'm doing nowadays.
Yeah, it's like you don't even get excited anymore.
Yeah, now it's just like
I don't know about that. I still get excited.
I mean, I still get
different. It's different, but it's like now I'm like, we need to pay.
Now it's expected.
We need to pay all these bills every single month.
Now it's not enough. No, I guess the only mistake I made on that one is obviously I wish I bought it and kept it, but I mean, I needed cash at the time. I needed whatever, just get me started. But I probably should have reached out. I pretty much took the first offer that came across. I definitely could have probably pushed to like 150, 155 because I locked it up for like 130. I sold it for 137. I could have wholesaled it for like 150. But I mean, it doesn't really matter now. But
in the beginning though,
it's
and you're so, that's where it's like having and it's like from my side with some of the help that I gave you on that one, I'm like, hey, I don't know the market extremely well down there. I can at least give you a basis of what to offer, what to do, and then if you can find the buyers. But that's the thing. It's like nowadays there's so many, even compared to back then, there's so many different resources to find the right people to buy your deal who can pay a hell of a lot more money. And I think having that at your disposal will only help you and kind of grow it moving forward. But nowadays, what does the breakdown look like for marketing, lead flow, everything like that? Are you, I know you mentioned like cold calling, you're doing some of that direct mail. Are you doing anything other than those two, or is it pretty much just that?
I dipped in PPC, but I think I wasn't consistent enough. Like that's all it comes down to.
Just spend a little bit of money, shut it off. And then
spend $4 or $5 in a month or two. Didn't get anything. I got like probably a lead or two and I turned it off. And I think I did it again a couple months ago, turned it off. So it just comes down to consistency. I think the only reason why direct mail has worked for me is because I've been doing it for 3-4 years.
Of course.
So I just built up a bunch of momentum. But yeah, just as far as what's going on in my world, like my business right now. So I would say 90% is direct mail.
Okay.
So I'm spending probably roughly like 12 to 15
a month
on that.
Shed, that's pretty.
Yeah,
that's more than us. Yeah, that's
And
that's
it's like this year I think I've gotten like 30 deals from it.
Oh wow.
Shed.
That's impressive.
I know. That's
going from taking a year and a half to get one deal to 30. I mean, that's insane. And would you say it's that consistency of sending them out, or have you changed anything with where you're pulling these lists from?
I mean, it's all the basic stuff. Like you hear people say, like the absentee,
foreclosure, probates, whatever the case.
Yeah, probate. So I pull county records. I pay someone $25 a month. Whatever a service, they pull a bunch of courthouse records, and I'll just upload them to my database, and then it just automatically puts them on a sequence. So it's pretty automated. So I don't really spend too much time on the mail side. I probably get like 60 calls a month from the direct mail.
That's sweet.
And I would say like 40 of them are take me off the list or
which is rightly.
Which is and I'd say 20 of them are actually
be
decent.
prepared for that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the one thing, to have thick skin when it comes down to it, because you'll have to expect that. Got it. So it's like direct mail is the honey hole, and that's where in the beginning you always think, hey, I'm just going to mail these people. If they're interested, they're going to respond right away. If they're not interested, they're never going to respond. but it's so opposite of that actually being the truth. Like it's so far from the truth because generally speaking, and now after taking a bunch of sales classes and sales workshops and programs and coaching and whatnot, it's 5 to 12 contacts at a minimum to get a deal. And then people are like 5 to 12 times. Like you're hitting people with mail sometimes 3-4 times before they ever even respond or before they ever think to even pick up your card.
Or like you said, where they just hold on to it. And then a year later, I mean, we've gotten countless deals that way where they said, yeah, I held on to this for, past year and finally decided to pick it up and give you a call. So it's like,
Isn't that crazy?
It's insane.
Well, just the commercial property we bought, we sent, because I'm like, what the fuck? Why is someone calling us on this like phone number? I'm like, we haven't sent out mail in probably a year. Called us, bought the deal. I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
Like it's, you underestimate the power of that.
Yeah.
And that's why you never, like if you're watching this right now or listening to this, do not delete your tracking numbers. Keep your tracking numbers in place for as long as you're sending, or as long as you physically can, because otherwise you're screwing yourself over.
Yeah. And another thing is like, I think a big thing, and we wouldn't be able to, I guess, lock up as many deals as we have if we didn't send someone something tangible that they can hold on to, because that's something that's going to always be in front of them if they choose to keep it. Obviously, if they toss it, they toss it. But having something tangible for someone to hold on to, whether it, they put it in their junk drawer or whatever, all it takes is another, couple weeks where they go in there and like, hey, I actually do want to sell. I have this postcard. I'm going to give them a call. Like, I think that's a huge thing. And a lot of marketing now in today's is basically digital. You see it once, delete, gone. So I think that's still something that some people don't realize is actually sending people something that they can at least hold on to if they choose to. Because that's where we found out. And
it sets yourself apart.
Yeah.
Like think of a lead comes in online and you have a conversation with them. They might not be ready yet, but then you send out something in the mail. They're like, when does that happen? Like if someone submits an online inquiry, and that's where like we were, and I know I discussed this on a previous podcast. I don't even know who was on. It might have been with Carl.
Yeah.
But it's like, what value can you provide to the homeowner? Because what we're trying to do with any direct mail, with any cold calling, with any PPC or Facebook ads or whatever, it's like we're basically hitting the bottom of the funnel. The people who are interested in an offer on their place. What about the other 95% of people who might consider selling for cash? They just don't have enough information. Like, what are we giving to those people? Like, what are you giving to them? Nothing.
More direct mail.
What are you doing?
Yeah. That's the thing. It's like, hey, we're just going to do more of what we're currently doing.
Yeah.
Like you're not providing them with the value that they honestly need in a lot of cases. So I'm like, well, can we craft a some sort of landing page setup or physical mail or whatever that informs them on like a downloadable guide or something like that, that informs them on the process with only them needing to fill in their name and email and then just drip on them, constantly drip on them, stay in front of them in some way, shape or form. That's where I think the business has to evolve to in order to build out this mass flow of leads and convert the people who maybe were never thinking about selling for cash, but because of the information that you provided or the information that you gave to their friend or family member, now they're actually considering going that route. Otherwise, they'll just call the realtor because the real estate lobby is so large that it's...
Yeah, there's so many doing what we're doing nowadays.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's so... so that's where I'm like, I think real estate investors in general just need to change their marketing on how to acquire better leads. Not necessarily better leads, but more leads, and build value. So that's kind of my 2 cents.
How do you do that, Carter?
Yeah.
I think, well, you need to provide them value up front without expecting anything in return. And like you can ask for a name and an email address, but it's like, okay, so if I was exploring, we had this conversation about if someone inherits a property, generally speaking, if you inherited a property today, would you know exactly what to do?
Definitely not. No, it's a complicated process.
Correct. So then what would you do on your side if you were trying to figure out more information?
Probably just Google it. Definitely.
Google it.
Yep.
And then they're going to you're going to read blog posts, you're going to read articles, you might watch some videos, you might do all these different things that inform you on the process. So there's someone out there providing that, whether it's attorneys or generally attorneys will do that. Or maybe it's senior living places or whatever the case might be. But if you're not providing that value, you can't even be in the picture. So that's my thought, is building out those processes, putting them on, once they register, put them on an auto email drip, as does every large internet marketer out there, and continually do that over the course of 6 months, 12 months, 28 or 24 months. And then I think those people who might have been searching for information a year ago, then they'll start converting. And then you're just going to get this slow trickle effect of leads that come in every single month on autopilot without you having to do all the heavy lifting in order to get those. So that's kind of the thought process behind it, of how do you actually implement that at a mass scale. And it's a lot
I think, that's
easier said than done.
Yeah.
Like it's because there's a lot that goes into it. And I'm like, well, what would be valuable for a homeowner looking to sell their property? I don't know. Like, well, I have it in my mind. I'm not.
I guess, what do you think is better? Is it get more granular and do that and make a guide and just try to educate more people and maybe do less of that? Or do you just send double the mailers and just try to get double the leads and more conversations?
I think you can do both.
Yeah, it's both.
I honestly, I think you have to have a mixture of both, because there's certain people who are ready to go right now, as there always is. That's essentially how
those are the people
every single business,
for,
every single business operates right now in the real estate investment space. I haven't seen someone do it on the other avenue that I'm talking about. That's why I think like there's a huge opportunity for it. Now, with that being said, like you have to have the ability to not necessarily return dollar for dollar your same marketing spend when you're trying to acquire customers the other way. Are you still going to ask them if they're interested in selling? Yes, but you're taking a more informative approach to things. So I don't know. I that's what's been running through my mind lately, and it's kind of the goal of getting that in place for January, come January. And we have the drips in place. We have that stuff built out, but it's, and for like the guides, the information, I'm just putting together videos. Cause I'm like, I'll shoot a video in front of my computer monitor or on a whiteboard.
And I think people enjoy videos more than
in 10 minutes or 15 minutes, it's done.
Yeah.
And then you're like, it's protected by a email and a first name. If you're willing to fill that out, even if it's a fake email, whatever the case is, you're going to get some real ones.
Right.
But then it'll allow them to access that. So,
and even like kind of what you could also do is like on the actual postcards that we're already sending out, like have on there somewhere stating, hey, if you want more information about XYZ, click or look up this link or scan this QR code, whatever it may be. And then right there, you're getting those, I guess, that traffic from the people that are interested. They click on it, check it out. Maybe have something to even be like, hey, send me, mail me a newsletter, about how to do this type of process. And then you're not just mailing at mass, a booklet of information to everybody that you don't know if they actually need it or not. You're dealing with people that, okay, I'm sending out, 5 of these because I only got 5 people that actually want it. Or they call you, that week or a year from now. That's kind of up to them, but at least you're getting that information, our name out in front of them. And then they have that, to actually look over and feel like, okay, I actually know these people, I trust these people. Because that's the biggest thing. I feel
and you're including on every mail piece, are you including a website on it? So it's like, why couldn't you just do a website to a landing page with more information? And it's like you're if someone's visiting the website, obviously they're curious to see like, who the fuck is this person? But if you have like, hey, download your free guide on selling a house for cash or something like that.
There's more. Yeah, most companies aren't doing that. If you think about like other
companies are doing it. Yeah, like
in
what
other
companies?
Industries, they're doing this.
Yeah, exactly.
But it seems like real estate's only like the real estate investor like buy houses space. Like
real estate agents are doing it.
Yeah,
like it's
they're not. Or they are.
Or
they started.
The good ones are.
The good ones are.
Yeah.
Like it's like you have to have that, like essentially what we're talking about is lead magnets. So you have to have a lead magnet to attract your ideal prospect, customer, whatever you want to call them. But real estate investors, like, hey, I'm after the low hanging fruit, as is everyone. Yeah. Like if you're going to continually do that, of course you're going to run across other investors doing similar things. But I've never seen someone do it at a scale that is
sophisticated.
Correct. Yeah. And I'm like, God, there has to be an opportunity for that.
And I feel like there's just less competition in that versus the people.
Very true.
I mean, pretty much every other investor's looking to get that quick property. They just want to get a call from someone saying, hey, I'm a motivated seller. I want to sell tomorrow. Let's go. So like that's where you're going to have 100 other investors doing the same thing. And the biggest thing is that we're all trying to figure out is how do we stand out? How do we get our name at that top of the list? I think what Carl was saying is that's the best way from what we're seeing is that just informing homeowners, because that information puts you at such a higher level than anybody else, because they see you as someone that is informative. They know what they're doing, and I can trust what they're saying. So then when you go for that close, they already have that trust factor with you.
Yeah. They know you. Like they essentially know you. They know the process. They know what they're signing themselves up for when they invite you out.
They've seen a bunch of videos of you. They've seen your guides.
Exactly. So I'm like it's such a powerful concept. And I like the more I think into it and read through things, I'm like, it's the implementation that catches everyone else.
Yeah.
Like it's way easier just to send out direct mail or run ads on PPC or whatever the case is. You get leads that come in, you call them right away, you go out there on an appointment, so on and so forth. So what is kind of the obviously we're nearing the end of the year here. What does the 2025 goals look like, or what are you hoping to achieve in 2025 that you didn't this year, or you look to do more of the same, or I guess fill us in on that a little bit.
For 2024, obviously this was my first year of actually like a first
full time
year.
Yep.
Being on my own. So for this year, it was everything myself. Like I did everything.
How was that?
It was a grind. It was a high paying job.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, it's not a business. It's just it's a job.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's exactly what it is.
I enjoy it. Obviously, I enjoy doing it, but obviously the 50, 60-hour weeks and just having to do everything, it
sucks.
It gets tiring. That's for sure.
That was a miserable experience.
Yeah.
But it's part of it.
Yeah. You have to, because you have to build up the cash. You have to build up the reserves. But no, my 2025 goal is obviously do more what I'm doing now and at a higher scale. Just more revenue, more profitability. Obviously, being on my own, like my profitability was pretty good. I think I would assume 55, 60%, maybe a little bit higher. So that's not too bad. So I'd like to maybe be at like 50, 55% profitability, but I want to start building a team in 2025. So my goal would be to hire at least one more person full time. So my brother's doing some project management right now. So I made that hire probably 4 months ago.
Okay.
But as far as that, I don't think I trained him well. Like I kind of just, he's still doing like miscellaneous, like painting, all the little stuff, and wherever I need him to go, and he'll go on some appointments for me if I have to, meet with contractors, meet with electrician. Yeah. So which it saves me a lot of time. So
that's huge.
It's huge. Yeah, he picks up material. That's been a big hire, and I think that like once I did that, I feel like it kind of even exploded even more. Just as far as like now I can just focus on getting more deals, talking to more sellers. But if I could hire, my goal would be the first quarter is hire a salesperson, either put Corey in that role because he is like I think he'd be really good at it, and then hire another project manager or just hire another salesperson and keep Corey in that role. So that'd be my 25 goal just to get some stuff off my plate, because there's only so much you can do on your own.
Correct.
Right.
And it's not sustainable. Like it's you think you can do it for forever, but then you're if something ever happened to you, your business is done.
Yeah. Like if something happened to me, like what does my wife do?
Correct.
Yeah.
And it's once that realization hits, and for some people it takes 4 years, for some people it takes 4 weeks. Like it doesn't teach their own on that side. But what I found is like the more you start thinking about the longevity of business in and of itself, and we were having this conversation last night, it's like now I finally feel like I'm getting a understanding of business versus a year ago. There's no way. Like even 6 months ago, there's no way. Like I don't have that. But it's the more you concentrate on, the more you look to actually run a business instead of a job. You have to find the right people. You have to make the right hires. You have to put you have to do the right work. So
and you have to think like a business owner. When you're in the constant grind of just finding the next deal,
find
a contractor, I got to call this person back. I got to do this.
Like a high stress environment.
Yeah. When you're constantly in that, you don't get to take yourself out of the picture and think big term, like what am I trying to accomplish?
Right.
Who do I need to put in the right seats? And I think that's where I need to get to. I did order the book Clockwork, so you haven't shut up about it.
Nice.
Yeah, that's super smart.
So I read the first chapter, and the only thing I got out of it so far, obviously I'm not too deep in the book. I just got it last week. But like when you're saying like as a business owner, you feel like you can do more. Yeah. But once you start doing more, you kind of take yourself out of that shareholder position or being a CEO, because you're in just a constant grind. You think you keep doing more, and you're becoming more stressed. Yeah. And now you're stuck in a job.
That's exactly
you're burnt out from, and now you start to hate and envy because you're missing time with family. Yep. You're not doing your old hobbies that you used to do. And,
that's exactly.
And to get bigger, like that's what you have to work more, or you have to put people in the right position.
Yeah. And I think it's definitely worth the sacrifice as far as like income goes. like to put those people in the right position. And I think overall, once you hire the right people, eventually you will make more income because of them.
Mm-hmm.
But
You have to sacrifice.
it is a sacrifice.
Yeah.
It's always, and then it's the part of, okay, if I hire someone today, like, do I have enough work for them? Do I know what they're going to do on a daily basis? I don't know. So it's that balance. And then, I don't know, in Clockwork, it even references, it's like, we always think, okay, if we're hiring someone, they're working full time.
Mm-hmm.
Most people don't necessarily want a full time job.
Yeah, most people would be happy working 20, 25 hours a week. And
10
Not
hours a
even,
week.
yeah.
12 hours a week, like a couple hours a day. Like that,
Mm-hmm.
and think of you hired a assistant right now to take off 2 hours of administrative work on your schedule a day. So 10 hours a week.
Mm-hmm.
What would that do for your business?
it'd be huge. It'd be huge.
And it's like,
and
in
why don't you do it?
exactly.
Yeah.
Think of you $200 a week. You could hire them $20 an hour. Like, most people would be extremely happy with that. Hey, it's like, I have extra money for groceries
Mm-hmm.
this week or month or whatever. Yet we're so captivated by doing everything ourselves. And that's where, like, after reading that book and reading other books, I'm like, how fucking stupid is it that we're like, for these minimal tasks that we're taking on, it's like
$10, $15.
and we don't
job.
do them well. Like, half the time we're
Yeah.
doing them half-assed just to get it done. And you're like, God, this sucks. Like, even with the QuickBooks side of thing, and we were going into this yesterday,
Started.
and Joe was doing it on his side. But I'm like, this sucks. Like, I don't even want to, like, I know I need to look at it, but I don't want anything to do with it.
Yeah, and you do it as quickly as possible just because you
I
don't
don't
want to do it.
Well, half the time
And
I
you
don't
miss
even do
them.
it.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
like-
half the time I'm looking up YouTube videos on how to do it. I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing. Like, I feel I'm better off just let someone that knows what they're doing do it and be done with it. Like, obviously you have to do a little bit of, contracting and stuff like that. But yeah, those simple tasks and things that, you got to kind of look and outweigh, okay, what is my time worth?
Mhm.
And if, say, your time's worth $50 an hour, it's probably worth paying someone $10, $20 an hour then to do something.
Even $30 an hour.
Even
They're
30,
going to do it better and quicker.
Exactly. And then that frees up all that time and
Yep.
stress that gets built on if you're to do it yourself.
Correct. And then added another thing to your plate.
Right.
And it's like, hey, already over full plate is just
Mm-hmm.
like, you're not going to be able to handle it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's kind of been my insights. I'm trying to think of something else that I wanted to talk to you about. So you've done the flipping, the wholesaling. What about rentals? Like, I know we have some properties together for like, full disclosure. We have the storage units together. We're buying more, but have you had a desire to acquire like more rental properties on your own, or what are your thoughts there? Because that's obviously
I think I just got this desire to pursue more rental properties. I would say in the last month.
why is that?
Oh, interesting.
Just cash. I wanted to build the business.
Yeah.
And obviously,
Okay.
rental properties, you have to put cash down or
Yeah.
you have to leave some equity on the table.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So my biggest goal is I just wanted to build the flipping wholesaling business as
Yeah.
quick as possible, invest pretty much everything I have or everything I made
Yeah.
from the wholesale flips and just
Mhm.
reinvest it into more marketing just to do more.
Yeah.
And I think I've gotten to a point where I did it pretty quickly in last year.
Yeah.
And now I have some cash reserves I can save up. So like I'm buying a 3-unit with my dad and a
sweet.
couple other partners in Milwaukee
Oh, dang.
next month.
Congrats. Yeah, that's
yeah.
huge.
That's exciting. Also, we're buying another storage complex,
Yep.
hopefully, if it closes. But who knows?
It's close.
Not too confident.
You want to buy a duplex in Sheboygan?
I offered it on that one.
I know.
Did
We
you?
should have sold it to him
Yes.
right away
Yeah, that's what you had.
on the
Oh, yeah,
wholesale.
that's right.
You would have made it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't care.
I guess, yeah, that's true.
Oh, well.
Well,
I would have bought it for like 112. You could have made 2,000.
damn.
What did we buy?
Yeah.
We bought it for 110.
I think
Yeah,
so.
I think I offered you 110.
110. Yeah.
Damn. We probably overpaid for it, but
No.
oh, well.
Well,
Yeah.
We'll see.
I don't know.
Hey, it would be a good rental. We could
Yeah.
rent it
Yeah, no,
out.
it'd
So
be a
that's
nice
kind of the
rental. Right.
thought. If we can't sell, we're just going to rent it.
And I was even thinking maybe because some people are like looking at, they're like, oh, are there already tenants in it or not?
Mhm.
I feel like it might be actually better if we were to have tenants in it, having some cash flow.
I don't know.
'Cause
I don't think so.
I think
Not when
people
you're
like
selling.
placing their own tenants.
Yeah, that's what I was
That's-
about to say.
Well,
It sucks.
And if they want to do some work to
inheriting
it,
tenants.
update it, and
Yeah.
charge more for rent.
okay. I don't know because some people were like, oh, is it are there tenants in there?
Yeah.
Like, what are they paying? I'm like, no, don't have any tenants, but it's ready to basically be filled. And some people are like, oh no, I'm looking for something that already is cash flowing. I'm like, well,
Well, that's then fucking
okay.
hire a property manager. But why the pursuit? Like, what has you interested in pursuing rentals now? Because even if you had the cash, like we've had cash this past year, but I'm like, I have no interest in buying more rentals right now. on my side. So what was it for you?
Long term, just obviously doing this. Like there's no retire. We don't have an
that's fair.
401k. So I see like real estate being like it
The
appreciates on the long term.
Yep.
Like if you're thinking about it 20 years from now,
Mhm.
obviously if I bought a property now, it's going to appreciate
Correct.
and it's going to be principal pay down.
Yep.
And obviously all the tax benefits. So my goal, I think for 2025 is to buy like 10 units
Okay.
on my own. So there's a couple of duplexes I'm buying. I might keep one of them.
Yeah.
Depending on like where. But
Nice areas. I would just recommend on that side, just buy in nice areas. Even if you're paying a little bit more and you have some money stuck into them, you're always better. Like they're going to appreciate more versus like you can get a phenomenal deal on a shitty house in a shitty location. Yeah.
All in for 110.
I know. I'm
like
it's not.
rent.
It's not even worth it. So that's kind of my thoughts there because it's just, I don't know. We've had like rentals are great because then you can sell them off and then buy other stuff. But I'm like the cash flow right now is just tough. And if interest rates change or they go down substantially, then I'll have a totally different approach to it. But right now I'm like, okay, we can make 25, 30 grand on a flip or $250 a month in a rental. I'm like, let's take the flip. Even after paying like commissions and taxes.
Yeah. It doesn't, you're still more money and they can reinvest in whatever. You can buy stocks or whatever.
Yeah,
grow more.
And that's where I've been putting some of my money into the actual like market.
That's actually passive.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, rental properties you're doing. So are you going to manage the rentals then, or how are you going to go about that?
I think I'm going to bring my dad on
to do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll probably bring him on.
Yeah.
Like I'll whatever I bought it with hard money or however I bought it, I'll probably refinance it and just bring him on as a partner. Yeah. I don't want to do it. And his skill set, like he's super detailed. He can do the books. He does the accounting. Like he's on top of everything. Like he's
so good at it. That's what I'm like.
It's to hire him.
Well, that's the thing. Like with the storage units, I'm like, God, I'm glad you like this because I can't stand it. And that's where like the caveat to anything. Even like I was saying yesterday, like for me, I love working the deal. I love purchasing the place, but everything after purchasing it, no interest.
I have nothing to do with it.
No, I'm like managing like even the big properties. I'm like, I would not want if I was an active manager on a lot of the larger assets.
You would have sold all of them.
Oh, fuck. I would hate it. I would grow to, and that's what I said to Joe yesterday. I'm like, I don't have a desire to buy these big properties because of how intense it would be, unless you have to build out a team. And that's where like everyone says is real estate's a team sport, but it legitimately is because in the beginning you're doing everything. You're finding out what your strengths are, your weaknesses. You learn all the facets of the business. But once you get a little bit more experience, you really realize what you're passionate about, what you absolutely hate. And for me, I hate everything after the deal closes. So that's where I'm at. I need to get myself out of that position. I'll put up all the money. I'll do whatever. But the actual management of the asset. So if anyone wants to partner on that side, hit me up. Hit me in the DMs.
If anyone wants to buy a property with me,
exactly. Exactly.
I will.
But I'll give equity. I'll give whatever because that's not a strong suit of mine. And the less that I have to do, the better.
I agree.
Yeah. No, I think we're in the same shoes. Like I don't enjoy anything after the purchase. Like I enjoy some project management, but for the most part, I hate it. I hate
because you're usually getting calls because there's an issue, there's a problem. It's like I have bigger fish to fry than to come over there and fix a leaky faucet. Like, come on. That's where, like, obviously you want to get someone that's put in place that will take care of that immediately. Because you also want to treat your tenants right, and you want to treat them, with respect. But I feel like if it's us that are being the ones managing it, it's going to be a little sloppy, maybe not.
It's not going to be the attention to detail and it's all little stuff that's.
Or if you do that, then it's taken away from the other side of the business. So.
No. And what are your thoughts on, and we can kind of end with this topic. It might be a long one, but so right now, what's the split between wholesaling and flipping? Like if you had to put percentages towards it.
Lately, it's been like 70-30. I would say 70%
flipping, 30% wholesale.
I'm now learning that.
How is that? Yeah, how's that going?
I mean, the profit margins have been better.
Yeah,
so I think that's why I did better in 2024. But
better
as far as just stress, it's better than $7,000.
That's fair.
But as far as just like time and just now I have a lot of cash invested in the flips and like paying for the marketing every month, paying for the flips, coming out of pocket on the flips.
Yeah.
It does get stressful. Obviously, I have cash that I can still operate the business, but it's just so much when you think about it, like so much overhead that when you have 30, 40K overhead every month, like it
Mm-hmm.
weighs on you, especially when I went
fuck.
from 2 years ago, not even my overhead was nothing.
Yeah,
I was
correct.
living with my parents, and now
Yep.
I have my own place,
Yep.
30, 40K overhead. It's a lot,
That's a
especially and that's the
ton.
flip. So
Mhm.
I think I need to switch it probably other way, 70-30, like 70% wholesale.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's definitely still good flips out there, like it just buy, clean out, paint, flooring.
Yep.
Like those
Easy,
are
easy.
Yeah.
those I'll do all day. And I could do those like 5 of those at a time.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, like I'm doing 40, 50K rehabs. I'm doing
Correct.
3 of them. So it's
Right.
I'm
That's
like,
insane.
Then once I'm in it, I'm like, why did
Mhm.
I even why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Like I don't enjoy it.
No,
Yeah.
I know. And that's where like you just, and we were talking about this with Carl when he was on too. It's like you just, like you get emotionally involved in the property in some capacity. And then you take it on as like another project. Hey, this will be fine. This will go
Mhm.
well. It's like, no, it probably won't.
No.
Like the
Mhm.
chances, honestly, the probably statistically, you're going to end up regretting it more than you end up actually enjoying the process
Mm-hmm.
in and of itself. So like if that's the case, take that approach going into it, or have someone over your shoulder watching things, or run something past them, or it's like, hey Joe, should we do this
Mhm.
flip? Should we do this wholesale? Like what should we do? Should we make, maybe if it's a small wholesale fee, should we take $8,000 in profit versus making 40,000, but it's going to be a 6-month project?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like I would probably take the upfront 8
Yeah.
instead of
100%.
being stuck on a property for 6 months at a
Mhm.
time, or whatever the scenario might be. So I think if you can get away from that, and that's what we've been doing
Mhm.
as well. Like I was the worst proponent of it in the beginning of the year, and now we've gotten a lot better. But still, like it's such a learning curve.
I think that's the hard part about operating a business is you got to know when
Yep.
not to do a flip, when to do a flip. Because obviously, if you wholesale everything, you're leaving a bunch of money on the table.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Very
so
true.
you have to like flipping house. Like you can definitely make.
Oh, and again, it's similar. Honestly, it's probably the same concept with the rentals. Nice properties in nice areas turn out better.
Yeah,
turn
You're
out
going to
better.
get more money
Yeah.
there if it's a desirable layout, floor plan, everything like that. Then like ranch houses, always going to sell better than a 2-story.
Mm-hmm.
Houses that are built after 1970 are probably going to sell better than houses that are built in the early 1900s.
Mm-hmm.
If you can take those same principles across flipping, across rental properties or whatever, you'll probably have a lot more efficient business.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I'm like talking about it right now, I'm like, yeah, we should
Yeah.
probably just
Bing.
I know, but it's like those simple things. Like
Right.
we don't do that.
No, it's just limited belief because I've all the flips I'm doing, like they're all nicer, like 1940s, 1950s, newer.
Yep.
And my belief was like, well, I got to flip this because I might not find another nice deal like this in a nice
Mhm.
neighborhood. And I found another one. I'm like, well, 2 in a row. I'm like,
Yeah.
I have to flip
I have
it.
to do that.
Now the third one, I guess I have to.
Yeah.
So it's like it's just limited belief. Like there's more. There's so much
Yeah.
opportunity out there, and like
Mhm.
you can't do everything. Like you have to just
Correct.
sometimes pass on and just give a little bit of profit
Mm-hmm.
in your mind. But when you think about how long a flip will take, it always takes longer.
Yep.
It always costs more.
Correct.
Like you always go over budget for the most part. So
And it sucks.
it's just trying to realize like what are you really trying to accomplish?
And like, I guess one thing that not everybody, I guess, thinks about is, okay, if I flip this property, I'm making 30 grand. Awesome. Like that number is
Yeah.
way bigger than if you're to wholesale it for, let's say, 10 grand.
Mhm.
But what I think a lot of people don't understand or don't think about is that flip is going to take you 3, maybe 4 months to do. So divide that 30 grand over
3 months.
3
and-
months.
Yeah.
I mean, you're
Same
making
thing.
same thing,
It's the same.
but less hassle, less work on
it's-
your side. It's boom, you're done with it. You get the money
reinvest
and
it
then
back
you
in the business.
reinvest. And like you said, where I guess kind of both of us are at is, there's still going to be leads that are coming in. So then you can then move straight on to the next one and not have that one fall through the crack because you're worried about this flip that you just found out now you're going over budget and that 30 went down to 20. And
Yeah, that's
now
normally
that-
how it
yeah, that's usually how it goes. So
That's-
that's where I think like going with the quick, easier flips, if the numbers make sense, go for it. But then if it's such a large project, unless you're making 60 plus K, like 50 plus K, and it's not taking a full year to do, then it might make sense to go with the flipping route. But I feel like everybody just looks at that end number that's way bigger versus this smaller one. I'm going to go chase that big one. And 9 times out of 10, beginners that are starting to do it themselves, they realize that shit, I'm in a really bad spot. Either I'm making barely any money on it for all this time, or you're negative.
I know.
So
And that's,
it's
I
not
think when you're in the beginning though, like you see the large dollar amount
that's the tough thing to
and you're
pull
passing
yourself
that and then you're
back.
like, fuck, I could
You could
make
always-
30,000.
Yeah.
But then it's like reality sets in. Oh,
That's
shit.
if everything goes perfect.
Correct. Yep. And it's like, no, I actually made like 22. And now the market's changing. So it's like, is that 30,000 really going to be 30 or is it going to be 25? Are you better off taking the $12,000 wholesale fee or hope for 35 grand in profit 4 months later? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I know what we're doing and it's kind of changing it around. We're 70% wholesale, 30% flips. It's kind of the goal. But the easy flips, ones that are in and out within a month and a half or two at the very most, and then it's back on the market.
Yeah.
So you don't have this huge overhead that you're worried about every single month or coming out of pocket for or whatever the case is. And just do the easy projects.
Yeah, just keep it simple.
I know.
Yeah.
That's kind of the goal of any business. And I think if you keep the business simple, it allows you to scale it without the, like you can have less employees in order to scale up to a higher extent and be happier, make higher profit margins and not really worry about things as much. So I don't know. Any other questions you have for us?
I guess what are your goals for 2025? Like what is, besides like getting out of the business, like I think for my goal, it's like get out of the business more and start building teams.
That's
Actually what the goal is. Like it's honestly to be able to step away and not have to worry. And of course we're going to have certain systems, processes in place in order to accomplish that. But again, that is the goal. And podcast will be dropping Friday with Josh. He and I were in here talking. I'm like, that's my focus. Revenue is important, of course. Like we want to keep doing the thing, do more, have higher profit margins, but
want to enjoy the fruits
exactly.
of your labor.
Yeah, exactly. You want to have fun and like not be at beck and call all the time. And it's like, hey, if I leave, I don't want to have to worry about like when we were doing this podcast. This is what I was texting. Like a lead came in, a Google Ads lead came in. I'm like, motherfucker, I know how it's $500 coming in right now. So and I texted the guy, but who knows? So I'll try to call him after this. But that's the thing. It's like, should we have another process in place for something like that?
I mean,
probably
another salesperson.
Yeah.
Like it's
could easily be done.
I know that's where I'm like, we have to think about something. Yeah. And that's kind of what I'm racking my brain on right now. And I don't know. I don't know because I've never experienced it yet. And that's kind of the thing when you're growing the business or learning more about it. You don't know what you don't know. And then you're trying to read books and you're trying to watch YouTube videos and everything, but you're learning through hiring people or firing people or trying to grow and doing everything yourself. And it's just that's not sustainable like we already discussed. But it's like, it's nerve-wracking taking that next step because you're putting a lot of trust out there for someone who could definitely underperform drastically, or they could overperform. You just don't know.
Yeah.
So,
that's a tough thing. I mean, we've already onboarded your whole family.
In
the company. Yeah. So I mean, that
seems to go well, but I know.
I mean, we've tapped out that section. So now it's like
no more cousins.
Well, we possibly, but now it's kind of getting to the point where the next couple hires are going to be people that we actually have to reach out to and do some interviews and figure out that process and do the training. It's not just hey mom, like I need you to kind of help me with doing this and that. She knows what to do, and you leave. But
this is just a very quick thing. What if like on the lead side of things, because there's like Call Porter. I don't know if you use them at all, but for like lead answering services, it takes that off of our plate. Yeah. So then they schedule the appointment for you. It's like, hey, you missed the call. It comes to us initially, and then it goes to them.
But do you think the conversion would be as good as if?
No, of course not. No. Of course not. But if they're just scheduling the appointment, does it matter?
And they're just inbounding whatever, take me off the list. So is it worth your time? So I guess it'd probably be.
I know that's like that. Those are the questions that I ask myself.
Car's not available right now. Yep. Can I ask what this call's about? I don't know if that's a great thing.
I don't know what the process is, but that's what I was like. I'm thinking more and more about that. It's like you could put those people in place for you're not hiring anyone else, like technically speaking.
Yeah.
They're not salaried employees, but it's just a service.
Yeah, you don't need guaranteed work. It's and I think they're pretty reasonable. I think it's like anywhere from like 500 to 1,000 a month, depending on how many calls are coming in.
So it's like that. That's kind of the thing that I think about. I'm like, that might be the next thing to do because it's like paying $500 a month versus probably a minimum
25.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah, that's like probably at a minimum.
Right.
So,
or even just I know there's like AI answering
Yeah,
machines and stuff like that. You can
Hello? Hello, is this
you
Joe?
Can you can change the voice.
Hello, Mr. Bios.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, there's multiple different ways. Okay. So let's wrap this up.
Well, I appreciate you guys watching. As always, hit the like and subscribe button. Follow Cam. Where can they follow you? Instagram, Facebook.
Cam
Okay.
Flowers.
Cam Flowers on Facebook. Appreciate you guys watching. Leave a 5-star rating and review. See you in the next one. Peace.